Hi, everyone. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Compose 2024. I'm Matt Billman, CEO and co-founder of Netlify, and I started this keynote with a piece of music, the beginning of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata that you probably all know. And I did that because music and technology have always been two of my big passions. And as we start this year's edition of Compose, I wanted to start thinking about the word compose in itself, because it has two relevant origins to all of us here in the room. There's like a logical or even mathematical sense and definition of compose. Think about function composition in computer science, the idea of taking simple functions with clear inputs and outputs, and then composing them together into more complex functions that carry out more advanced tasks. Or if we build advanced systems, we can compose them out of smaller, isolated parts that are easy to understand in isolation, but that together can create really complex applications. But there's obviously also a creative origin to composition, one of composing music or art or poetry, and I think there's a tight relationship between those two. I like to think about the classical composers as kind of the original programmers. They're writing down these complex compositions to be executed not by a computer, but by a musician or an orchestra, and they too would compose with very simple building blocks, small themes, rhythms, tools, tonal patterns, and so on, that are each simple, sometimes even trivial to understand in isolation, but that together forms a whole that's much greater than the sum of the part. So in the case of Beethoven in this Moonlight Sonata, through the whole movement, there's just like one simple rhythmical pattern, da 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 da, that is carried through the whole piece, never wavering, and then like a very simple motive, syncopated, like din din din, that's like almost the only key building blocks of this whole piece of music that composed together create this like iconic piece of magic and moonlight. Now, more than 10 years ago, I wrote the first pieces of code that became what's Netlify today. And I started writing this with a sense of like, how can I apply myself to help push the open web forward and build a better web? And I focused on the web because I felt that this was something that really united these two passions of technology and creativity. The web is truly one of the modern marvels we have. It's like this one shared platform in the digital world that has no owner, that's built on top of logic and reason and math and engineering, but that's also really an engine for our creativity, and where anyone can build something, put it on a URL, and instantly have it in front of every other human being in the world. Because of that, Netlify has always been about creating a platform for the web that aims to give creators the fastest possible path to being live on a URL in production, but with the full creative flexibility of programming and access to any of the primitives of the web platform. Whether that's for people building creative works of art and freeform experiences and interactive worlds, or whether it's creating rich player experiences and reaching a global audience online, or whether it's for a Nobel Prize winner that want to make sure his website stays up when the announcement goes out, or whether it's about reaching customers online through digital commerce as a luxury brand, or whether it's about informing investors and stakeholders in the public about what's going on in a Fortune 500 company, or informing our whole front-end community, or whether it's about helping people get fit by building a great web-based UI on a bike, or whether it's helping people build websites with AI. And by now at Netlify, we're seeing more than 1 billion unique visitors every single month to the site, stores, and apps running on Netlify across pretty much every use case, vertical, and size of business that you could possibly imagine. And if you didn't notice it last week, we also just celebrated crossing this incredible milestone of 5 million developers on our platform. And to give thank you. Thanks. And to give some context on this, right? Like, it took us 5 years from we launched until we celebrated 1 million developers on our platform in 2020. Now 4 years after, we're celebrating 5 years, 5 million. Go check out our celebration on 5milliondevs.netlify.com. But after I'm done speaking, please. Across all of these experiences, our goal is to enable the world's developers to create and unlock the power of the web. And when we think about that, like, we think there's a whole set of tools that developers use to actually be creative and build with. From code editors to the local development environment to collaborating in GitHub and so on, right? Like, and that's kind of where Netlify doesn't have an opinion, and where we're not saying like you should do this in one way or the other, or where we don't come with a sort of smaller subset of tools and like this is what you need to build with. But then there's all this set of chores from once you've written the code and once you want to have it in production in front of an audience that involves release management and cache invalidation and CDN management and object storage and rollbacks and all of that. And this is where Netlify can come in and shorten this path from inspiration to production by taking away all the chores and providing a platform that kicks in as long as you embrace a composable architecture and the principle around this, like the principle of decoupling the actual web experience layer from the underlying backend business logic, and embracing an idea of isolated parts that compose together. We think as long as you can embrace that architecture, we can build a unifying platform that makes that really simple to work with and leads to better web experiences for all of us. And this is how we view that unifying platform and what goes into it. Again, there's a set of tools on the left. VS Code, the frameworks like Astro or Next, tools like Notion, Google Docs, Figma that web teams use to actually build these experiences. This is not where we try to innovate. There's others that are doing that there. But then there's all the automation and operation that comes after you write that line of code and until it's actually fully available to the whole world and scalable and secure and so on. That's where Netlify comes in. Our automation layer aims to integrate really closely into that set of tools on the left where the creative teams work, and then aims to give the fastest time to market with the highest iteration speed from the code, content, and design that makes up a web project. We, of course, handle all the release management from the CI/CD perspective, making sure that every single Git commit can trigger a build and an atomic deploy, and make sure that every single pull request becomes its own staging environment. We offer a rich set of connectors and integrations at build times. We have a local developer experience that maps any modern framework onto the primitives that we offer, so you can easily run and test Netlify functions or edge functions or blob stories, rewrites, everything locally as you develop, with integrated secret management that makes it easy to onboard new developers and manage all the different services you're connecting to across different environments. Last year, 4 years ago actually, we launched collaborative deploy previews to sort of really start bringing the rest of the web team into this release management process and giving them tools to give feedback back into project trackers like GitHub Issues or Jira or Trello or Linear and so on. And last year at Compose, we launched our visual editing layer, again, aiming to broaden out, like be more inclusive of the whole team that are involved in shipping these kind of projects. But again, with the same agnostic approach, where we see this as a composable ecosystem. We don't try to be the project management tool. We don't try to be the CMS. We just try to be the platform that increases the throughput and the workflows with working with all of these tools together, and make sure that when you pick a developer-first stack, the choice is not like an endless ticket vortex for the rest of the team that now have to go bug developers for every single thing, right? Like, we want to make sure that it's a great experience for the whole web team. From the operational perspective, our customers should ideally just never have to think about infrastructure operations for their front-end properties. We operate our own best-in-class high-performance edge network with DDoS mitigation, rate limiting, advanced security features. And today we're actually releasing a full-fledged web application firewall with custom rule sets and protection against all the OWASP's top 20 security vulnerabilities and so on. Over the last year, we've launched a whole set of cache primitives that really takes our edge to another level when it comes to caching and transforming dynamic workloads at the edge. We launched stale while we validate. We launched cache tags with custom cache purges built into like our whole end-to-end system. We launched Netlify Vary, which sounds just as if it was like a small detail, but it's a really disruptive feature that allows you to do things like caching only unauthenticated content while rendering dynamic content, or caching personalized content, localized content efficiently on a CDN without any upfront configuration, just write the code. We launched durable caching, again, enabling you to treat every response from a function or an origin of yours as a static object that's now the origin for the whole CDN until you invalidate it. I've seen some of our competitors claim that CDNs just don't work and that cache control is something you can't work with, but I think we're building the right primitives to make edge caching work and to make it easy to work with. We launched edge functions as a public beta back at the beginning of 2022, announced the GA back in January 2023, and by now they've become a really robust, differentiated primitive for our edge network, striking the right balance between power and distribution, making them a perfect runtime for any framework that leans in on an edge rendering strategy, or a powerful middle layer for rewrites, localization, personalization, or authorization, or content transformation. And we've seen our customers really push the limits of this system, partnered closely with the team at Dino around their runtime and making sure that we can scale it to even the most demanding use cases. At times scaling to more than 10,000 requests per second for a single customer at spikes and handling that without problem. This layer has allowed us to implement patterns like partial pre-rendering or skew protection or edge side includes entirely in user space, just on top of our available primitives. And of course, at Netlify, we're here at Compose, and we believe in decoupling the front-end layer from the back-end layer. I think when you work on a web front-end, you should use web technologies and primitives that are built around the web platform. But often those tools are not the best for building complex back-end infrastructure and back-end projects. So we think it's healthy to separate them both and think as our sort of back-end layer is more of a back-end for the front-end layer that makes it easy to handle that glue layer that sits in between. We launched Netlify Functions and made that sort of a core part of the modern front-end cloud stack 6 years ago, or more than 6 years ago, back in the start of 2018. And last year we launched Netlify Functions 2.0, bringing the developer experience much closer to the modern web platform. It enables routing to be done directly in the file if you want to, made function streaming with web streams simple and straightforward and just works out of the box. And we introduced Netlify Blobs as another core platform primitive that's useful across edge functions, and builds. Again, I like to think about S3 as the original cloud in a way, right? Like it was the first web service that AWS launched. And since then, I've never worked on any large modern web project that didn't use an S3 style object storage API behind the scenes. So we build one into Netlify that's as simple as it gets. No bucket setup, no complex permission structures, just arbitrary stores scoped on a per site basis with the simplest possible API to read and write objects of any types. And last year at Compose, we officially launched Netlify Connect, our solution to combine all of your data sources into one GraphQL API for your developers, making it really simple to access both legacy systems that are not really made to be part of this composable world and modern data sources through one endpoint, whether it's at build time and runtime. And of course, since last year, it's evolved a lot. We introduced edge caching, dynamic connectors. We doubled the query performance, and the sync speed we made 5 times faster. We introduced API revisions and revision pinning, authorization scopes, and cross-references to allow GraphQL joins across different data sources. We also launched our Connect client to make it really simple to work with data from Connect straight from any front-end framework. And importantly, in the last quarters, we've announced our connectors for Adobe Experience Manager and Salesforce Commerce Cloud, which is some of the really big systems out there that we see holding back companies from decoupling their front ends and going composable, and that are complex enough that few customers of theirs have the option of just like turning off the old system and rebuild something new. So these connectors are really important to allow that segment of the market to gradually start modernizing, to plug these origins into a modern front-end workflow and then start iterating. And it's been exciting for us to work with sort of the first larger Connect customers and building out this key part of the platform. So, and based on our experience and learning so far, we plan to launch a simple core version of Connect for all of our customers as a core primitive available also on the free and self-serve tier. Insights and observability is a key part of operating any large project at scale. And for us, core to this is our log drains feature. Most of our customers have an observability platform. Again, we always think about how do we interact with the composable ecosystem that's out there rather than how do we try to build one monolith, right? Like, so log drains should allow you to just turn on your observability platform with one click and then have everything fully automated, instrumented to give you the right dashboards and logs and views to understand the behaviors of your Netlify projects. But we also recently introduced our serverless insights within Netlify's dashboard that gives you really extensive information about function and edge function behavior to help your team optimize performance or troubleshoot errors or prioritize development efforts. And this really makes us the most comprehensive unifying platform for the composable web. And today, we're going to add some big pieces to that platform that I'm really excited to share. But first, let's go back to this original concept of composition. The idea of small themes or small primitives or simple functions that together can make up a complex composition. To have this composition, we need these simple elements that we can actually compose together. We need a core set of primitives. We need that little rhythmic component or our melodic theme that we can build around. When I think about what we built, like what we're achieving through composable architectures, like the core goal for everyone adopting this is flexibility, right? Like if you don't care about flexibility, you can just pick some software in a box and put it out there, right? Like, but if you want flexibility to build something yourself for your audience or your customers, you need to be able to build at that area. And then you need an ecosystem for all of the stuff that you actually shouldn't be building yourself, right? Like most people are not differentiating by having it, like by having invested in their content or commerce engine or in their log drain system or built their own database, right? Like all of that should be an ecosystem of building blocks that you can easily pull in. And then you need to be able to evolve your system over time, right? Like a monolith can get stuck. A composable system should be evolvable. You should have clear isolated path that you can work on in isolation. And today we'll start by really focusing on that ecosystem part by launching Netlify extensions to make Netlify truly extensible and composable. It's powered by the second generation of Netlify SDK, our software development kit that allows anyone to extend Netlify, build custom UI within Netlify, and publish extensions either as private extensions for their own teams to use or public extensions that you can share with the world. And to talk more about what we've been doing here, I'll invite Karen Hendricks, Senior Software Engineer on SDK 2.0 to the stage.
Wow, thank you so much. All right, so I am more than excited to talk about the Netlify SDK. We launched it last year, and the first version that we created, we already allowed you to create an integration with Netlify. Anyone could make an integration with Netlify. And you can make an integration that could hook into the site's builds. You could inject edge functions or serverless functions. You could even create connectors that you could configure as a data source for Netlify Connect. Something that we also made possible is to create this user interface. And we would render it inside of the Netlify application, so the user of your integration could configure it in any way necessary for your integration. The thing is, though, I am part of a team that cares annoyingly about the developer experience. And I'm saying annoyingly because it means a lot of talking about, like, how can we improve this part or that part? And we've done a lot of talking. But I'm very excited to share what we've come up with. We wanted to make sure that using extensions, but also creating extensions, would be much easier than before and really elevate the experience. And let's take a look at how we did that. So if you are using extensions, we now have one location where you can find a directory of extensions available to you. It should make it easier than ever to find exactly the extension that could make your site work better or that could help you create a wonderful data layer in Netlify Connect. And once you've found the extension that you want to use, all you have to do is click that install button. From that point on, it will be available on all of your sites, so that should be easy enough. You can also configure it as a connector inside of Netlify Connect if it has that functionality. You can just configure it as a data source in your data layer, and you're good to go. Now, we also added a bunch of changes for people who are creating extensions, and we wanted to make sure that when we made those changes, that it would also reflect on using extensions. And there's like a small thing that for others might be like, oh, that's so simple, but that I really love. And it is the fact that you can add a markdown file to the root folder of your extension, and we'll just render it on the page for you. So we really hope this is going to make it easier for people to know what they're using and for you to inform them on how they can use your extension. And the thing is, anyone can build an extension with Netlify, and you can make a private one as well. But how cool would it be if you can then share it with others? And I'm happy to announce that from today on, that's possible. You can change the visibility of your extension, and from that point on, using the link to your extension, anyone can install it on their team. So this should be really exciting for the developer community. Woo! But there's one thing that I am extremely proud of, because we have really hardworking people on the team that worked on something that we call the extension UI. With the extension UI, we're bringing you a new way to create that user interface. And this is how we did that. We have a few different locations in the Netlify application that you can hook into with your extension UI. So, for example, if you made an extension that impacts the site's build, the user can configure it in the site's build settings. Like, totally makes sense, but definitely a new thing. And if you wonder, how am I going to build this interface? Just use React. It should be that simple. We build the extension UI using web standards, so any developer should be able to use it. And with the SDK, it should be really easy to use the Netlify API. And we're actually exposing a growing set of components that are ready to be used for this interface. And one of these components is our OAuth component. And with it, it's actually become extremely simple to make an extension that needs to authenticate with a third party. Now, something that I love so much is that we work together with partners to create new extensions in the past few weeks, and they've been really excited about it. We've been building extensions at a speed that we didn't see possible before, so that really warms my heart because of all the hard work that our team has done. For now, though, I would say once we're ready with this conference, grab your laptop, start building an extension, share it with others, and our team cannot wait to see what you're going to build. Thank you so much. Back to you, Matt.
Thank you, Karen. This is awesome. Extremely excited about what the team has put together through the SDK. But an SDK would be for nothing if it didn't come with a set of really exciting extension for you all to start building with today. And we've partnered with some of the best companies in the composable ecosystem to make their tools easier to set up and use with Netlify. First, I would like to welcome to the stage Glauber Costa, CEO and founder of Turso.
Turso is a database platform that allows you to easily create small, ephemeral, and inexpensive databases that can be replicated anywhere, to your users' mobile devices, to the edge, to your servers, or whatever you want. Turso allows you to create, delete, and branch databases programmatically through our API. Create as many as you need, 1 million, or unlimited. We have, in fact, today customers in our platform individually with over 50,000 databases under management. Turso is also the best database platform in the market today for you to create AI applications. Now, look, I don't know about you, but I will be wary of giving Claude or Devin or any of the other Terminator prototypes out there unfettered access to my shared production database. But if the data is split per user and it's replicated independently so that the AI can run queries against it without disrupting anything, that's a different story. We view Netlify as a leader in the space and a great platform where you can deploy real-life, production-grade, composable applications that solve real problems. We share with Netlify the understanding that composability allows you to build with the best pieces that you need with none of the hype and all of the benefits. This integration being announced today means that Turso and Netlify now compose. It means that you will now spend even less time worrying about connecting the database service to your code platform and can focus on building composable applications for today's fast-paced environment. It means you will move faster, both in the early days of your project and as you evolve it, and yet end up with a solution that is robust and architecturally sound, from the lowest levels of your stack up to the tiniest UX details. And with that, back to the man of the hour, Ludwig von Billmann. Did you guys know that this guy plays that well? I'm impressed.
Thank you, man. Thanks. Very excited about all the possibilities that this extension opens up. But we got more here. How about Postgres on Netlify? Let's hear a big applause for Paul Cobblestone from Supabase.
Hey everyone. So first of all, it's great to be here. I don't know if you've logged on to that 5 million devs, but of course when I saw that, I wanted to know what my sign up was, because I remember being a very early user, and all the way back in 2017, I was using Netlify for my first startup. So I logged in and saw that I was in the first 100,000, so it's kind of surreal to be here partnering with Netlify on things like this just 7 years later. So Supabase is a Postgres platform. We do a few other things, which I'll talk about soon, but primarily we host Postgres databases. You get a full Postgres database. You can use it for storing all your data. You can use it for RAG embeddings using pgvector. We're also 100% open source. So let's talk about the integration. This is by far the easiest way to get started with Netlify and Postgres together. One thing that's really unique about Supabase is that we offer data APIs. And this means that you can connect to your Postgres database directly from the client or from the server. So if you want to connect through the Postgres string on Netlify Edge functions, you can do that. But we also have this API HTTP server that you can connect to directly from the browser. One other service that I just want to mention is our auth service. Why do I mention this one? We're also positioned as an open source Firebase alternative, and one of the things about Supabase is that we try to work with existing open source communities wherever we can. So when we were getting started 4 years ago, we were searching the market for an open source, a really simple open source auth server, and we ended up discovering this one called GoTrue, which was developed by this guy Matt from Netlify. And we ended up collaborating with them on this auth service. And now it's one of the key components and one of the most popular services on Supabase. So I'm going to hand off to Matt, but also I want to say a massive thanks for both his and Netlify's contribution to the open source realm. So thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Paul, and really excited about what we could build together here. Excited about the idea, if you notice that the connection between Netlify and a provider like Supabase happens at the account level, where I think many other attempts at this has always been on a per project level, right? But we kind of had the insight that if we had a team at Netlify, we don't want each of our developers to go up and create connections to random personal Supabase accounts. The thing we would like is to have a Supabase account and a Netlify account and have the two linked together, and now developers can go in, spin up projects, easily spin up databases or connect to databases within that account. And I'm excited about for the potential to make the workflows here incredibly smooth together. Next up, another partner that I'm really excited to work with that goes broader than just one piece of backend or another piece of backend, and really plays into this idea of separating the front end from the backend layer and what we can do when we can also create collaborations between those two aspects. So let's hear it for Wade Wegner from DigitalOcean.
Hey, thanks. Thank you, Matt. It's great to be here. At DigitalOcean, we are passionate about creating the simplest, scalable platform for developers. And so I am thrilled to talk about this partnership and opportunity with Netlify. Matt and I have actually known each other for quite a while. And when I first joined DigitalOcean, one of the first things that I did is I reached out to Matt and said, hey, we have got to do something together. And I share his passion for the open web. And so when I learned about Netlify extensions, was incredibly excited about what we're able to do here. The thing is, with the Netlify extensions, we get to build the experience that we want for our developers and make it easier for them to connect to sites and amazing things being built on Netlify. In fact, one of the first things that we ended up doing was we ended up creating an extension that'll make it really simple for you to be able to connect to a MongoDB managed on DigitalOcean really simply so that you can connect it to this amazing experience that is being built on Netlify. In fact, getting started is super simple. All you end up needing to do is actually create and install the DigitalOcean extension right there in Netlify. You can end up bringing your connection string for your managed MongoDB database directly into that extension, and you are all set. That's all it requires. And so just with a little bit of this work, you're able to connect these sites running on Netlify with a managed database running on DigitalOcean. Very, very excited. Now, one of the best parts about this for me is that this is just the beginning. Again, the SDK2 and Netlify extensions makes it really simple for you to create those delightful experiences and enable all of the ways with which developers can connect to your services. And so I'm really excited to see where we're going to take this and all the additional services that we provide at DigitalOcean, bringing them here to Netlify so that we can build a better open web together. So thanks for having me here, and look forward to seeing you soon. Back to Matt.
Thanks, Wade. Really excited about this one as well, and Wade will be giving a talk later today where you can get more, way more hands-on experience with the DigitalOcean extension that we've been working on. Last but not least, let's hear it for Felicia from JamSocket.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felicia, and I am a founding engineer at JamSocket. JamSocket is a simple yet versatile platform for building and deploying real-time applications. Nowadays, we expect a lot of our creative and productivity applications to be real-time. If I'm editing a doc with my teammates, I want to see those changes synchronized immediately. And with the age of AI, I want to be working with my AI agent side by side live. But building these real-time applications hasn't always been easy. Developers have often been stuck in two extremes, either using tools that make too many assumptions about their application, with constrained SDKs that don't scale up with your application's complexity, or developers try building it themselves. And if you've ever had to wrangle complex WebSocket infrastructure in something like Kubernetes, you know it can be a distraction from your core product. So JamSocket was designed to offer a better choice. You can deploy your own WebSocket servers on the JamSocket platform, and we manage orchestration and routing. It's like AWS Lambda, but for WebSockets. On top of that, we offer a Y-Suite server, which takes advantage of JamSocket's infrastructure, along with an open source YJS conflict-free data types to give you real-time multiplayer out of the box. This means that you don't have to write a single line of backend code to get real-time multiplayer experiences. So today, I'm going to deploy a real-time multiplayer app called a multiplayer voxel editor. It's like a Minecraft world. And it's a Next.js app that I've already deployed to Netlify. But if I open it up, it won't yet synchronize or persist state. I need to connect to my Y-Suite server to do that. So in the Netlify JamSocket extension, I can connect to that Y-Suite backend. And while that's running, I'll give you some background on why we built Y-Suite. Over the years, we've heard the developers love how quickly they could build real-time multiplayer applications with YJS. And deploying those applications was the major challenge. So Y-Suite was designed to provide that off-the-shelf YJS real-time server with built-in persistence to object stores like S3. I'm super excited to share that Y-Suite on JamSocket is generally available this month, but users of the Netlify extension get access today. Yeah, I'm super excited. So in just a few steps, I was able to get my multiplayer voxel editor up and running. And when I invite my teammates to join in the room, each block that they add is automatically synchronized and persisted to S3 with the Y-Suite server. With this extension, I'm so excited to bring real-time to Netlify. Together with Netlify and JamSocket, we're making it easier than ever to build the next Notion or the next Figma. If you're interested, install the extension and find us at jamsocket.com. And back to Matt.
Thank you, Felicia. This is awesome. Like, look at this. This kind of fun stuff that I want to see people being able to build and share with everyone in the world. And I'm really excited about collaborating on this. There's so much good stuff coming in this release, and I wish I could fit all the partners that we've been working with on stage, multi-tenant databases through Nile, feature flagging through Launch Darkly, Auth0 collaboration, but also features that doesn't depend on external integrations and just extends Netlify platform through common patterns like Edge Server includes as an extension, SKU protection as an extension, and much more. And remember, let's all of you build your own extensions, share them with your team, use them internally, or share them with the community, or work with us to get them to official status. Do you want to provision internal services in your company through Netlify's UI? Well, the SDK makes it really easy to set up these kind of links and build these kind of workflows. So we're really excited to see what you all build. But this is not all for today. And another part of the whole ecosystem that everybody is obviously looking towards and thinking about is AI. And at Netlify, we have a core vision of building a better web, unlocking the power of the web for all of the world's developers. But we don't see our role as building, like replacing those developers, so building the tools on the left to say like, this is AI that builds stuff for you. For us, it's still fundamentally as a philosophy about like, how do we remove all the chores from when you created something and until it's running in production in front of an audience. We want to focus our efforts of making AI do the laundry and dishes and not on doing all the fun creative stuff. We launched Why Did It Fail back in May. It's a little button that appears within our UI every time a build fails. And if you click that button, we use large language models to take like the build context and the logs and so on and try to diagnose why did this build fail and what can you do to fix it. And since we launched that, people have used that debugging functionality 150,000 times on failed builds since May. And I don't know, if you just imagine that every 5 times of those, we maybe save a 10-minute debugging session, that adds up to something like 25,000 hours of developer time that we've saved the world just by putting this little button in there. That's the kind of role we want AI to play ideally at Netlify, right? Like shorten the time to production, speed up iteration cycles. And when we think about these iteration cycles, when building for the web in this composable world, there's the developer part of it, but they're not the only ones in the band or in the orchestra building these experiences. There's a whole team involved. And with our content collaboration features, we started thinking about like, how can we help this whole team ship faster? How can we speed up the iteration speed end to end? And when we think about these creatives that write and compose the content that we want to get in front of our audience, just like developers, they have a set of tools where we don't want to have, like that's not our space, but where they do their creative work. At Netlify, if we take our own example, whenever we do a product launch or a blog post or a developer guide, those are built into templates and backed by different CMSs. In main site, we're using Sanity for the developer guide. It's in GitHub and so on. But the work the team does to build those assets first always tends to happen in Notion or Google Docs as a collaborative process, working together on the content, getting sign-off, getting ready to ship. And then someone has to like take it, get it into the right CMS in the right format, understand what templates to pick and what components to pick, how to set that together. There's a lot of copy and pasting involved. They need to figure out the SEO parts of the content and so on. So we thought, what if we could take away all of those chores in a similar way that we did for developers by connecting into GitHub? What if we can connect directly into tools like Notion and Google Doc and shorten this path from inspiration to production? And to talk about how we solved that, let me invite Vanessa Ramos, who is the product manager on content collaboration at Netlify.
Thank you, Matthias. Hi, I'm super excited to be here today to introduce you to Netlify AI-assisted publishing. It's like deploy from GitHub, but for content authors. Publish from Google Docs, publish from Notion. Just bring that unstructured content that it's ready to go live, but it can because it doesn't have the right structure, it doesn't have the right format, and give it that as fast as possible, and without neglecting on the content choices made by the web team. Sounds good, huh? So let me show you an example. So here at Netlify, oftentimes when we're working on a new product page for our website, we get the marketing team and the product team collaborating together on a Google Doc, like this one, for example. And we go back and forth, like with all the right stakeholders, making sure that all the right content is in that Google Doc. We start like crafting the messages as we want them to look like on the website. And when everything is looking good and ready to go, and I'm sure, like a lot of companies, we're not alone like doing this kind of workflow. So when everything is looking good, we head back to the headless CMS or our tool of choice. And at that moment, as a content author, it's kind of hard to understand what are the templates available for me, what are the sections, where are the components, how do I map that to that content that I have on my Google Doc, that it's logged, approved by all the right stakeholders, and ready to go. And so from there, what ends up happening, or what ended up happening, is that someone goes to the live site, they find a page that kind of looks like the one that we want to be publishing, and we duplicate that page, and we start replacing the content, going back and forth with the Google Doc, adjusting the title, because like, oh my God, so it's too long for the space that I have in here, or I have 2 paragraphs and I only have space for one. That is like very tedious work. And it adds a lot of development cycles, and it's work that, to be honest, no one wants to be doing, right? And so for that reason, what we've done is we're focusing on content authors not having to worry about that at all, just being able to focus on the creative work and automating all these tasks for them. And how are we doing this? Well, today, with Netlify Visual Editor, which is wired up to your headless CMS, one CMS, or multiple CMSs. It's also wired up to your code base, right? So you have all your components that the team has developed in here. We can choose the type of page that we want to be publishing, and then we can also choose a template. So in our case, we have a template for new product pages that we want to launch. And normally, we would choose the template and just create that page with placeholder content. But with AI-assisted publishing, we can just feed that content from the Google Doc into that template and get that created for us. So grab the Google Doc, not the content information, just the URL. It's reading from the source directly. We can choose a target audience and also brand voice, so we can quickly create different versions for different audiences. And these are all AI settings that can be customized at the site level within Netlify. And today, they're only available for AI-assisted publishing, but they're going to be used for all AI capabilities within Netlify. And so now our page is being created, right? And what we're doing here is we're putting AI at the service of tasks that it does best, such as summarizing content and transforming unstructured information into structured formats. And so even if the landing page that it's being created has a complex structure, like in this case, it's generating 5 or 6 different sections with a lot of reference documents with nested objects, et cetera, right? So this is done the heavy lifting for us. And here we have our page. And as you can see, this page looks like any other Netlify page on our website, but it has all the information about our product launch that the team is going to be releasing soon. And you'll say, well, this is probably not 100% publishable and ready to go at this point, right? So that's why we've embedded this solution within our visual editor, so content authors can just come here and handle the last mile, do the final edits, and hit publish. And so where are we headed next with this? So next, we want to use AI to build a more interactive experience in here, which simulates what you would do, like working with a developer or a designer in your team. And that's what we're going to do next. And so this is in private beta as of right now. So if your team is in need of accelerating publishing workflows, please sign up. Give it a try. Let us know what you think. And to show us how it's all built behind the scenes, I'm going to hand it off to Sean Roberts.
Hello, everybody. I don't know about you, but AI-assisted publishing is just the start of many amazing things to come. And being a part of the team that helped work on it, I'm going to kind of explain what went into it. So when we set out to build this, we had 2 goals in mind. One is that we wanted to build a system that we could put any of our AI features on top of, and 2, build it on Netlify itself so that we can organically learn about the problems needed to solve these types of, provide these types of solutions for these problems. And so whenever we started building these applied AI solutions, we realized that it's not just the logical layer that's a challenge with them, but also the compute workflow layer. So that's the order of operations that it has to go through to complete all these steps. So take AI-assisted publishing, for example. We have to go out to the content source, pull all the data down. We have to teach it how to transpose content from unstructured data into CMS-compliant structured data. And any one of these steps could be super slow. They could break. They could have transient network issues. So To solve this problem, we started, or anticipating that we had to fix all of this, we started building network resilience and durability into our serverless functions. But we realized that there were some things that we just couldn't solve there. For example, if the provider was down for an hour, how can we solve that with serverless runtime? So to solve this, you need a durable event-based architecture. This system would allow you to break complex problems down into smaller steps that can fail, be retried, and continue whenever the issue is resolved. It needs persistent state so that if the resolution takes an hour, a day, or a week, it can pick up and continue from that point in time. And queuing baked in so that work happens at the right order. Because we needed this for AI-assisted publishing, and because to stick with our goal of building it on Netlify, we built this system as an extension on Netlify, and we call it Async workloads. And Async workloads is 100% powered by the primitives that come with Netlify itself. And it's providing durable event-based architecture to our systems, and it's coming with that Netlify ethos of simplifying the developer workflow so you don't worry about managing external services, managing queues, managing the infrastructure. It's all handled out of the box. So with AI-assisted publishing, it's 100% built on Netlify. It's using async workloads, and it's powering the scalability and reliability of that system and all of our other async architectures that we do in the future. With async workloads, it's changed the way our team thinks about building asynchronous architecture. So we can take this as an example of a report workflow. We can aggregate data from thousands of resources, generate a report, send that report, and then a day later, delete that report. This is a rather complicated workflow to build in a serverless environment, but this is all it takes to do with async workloads. We built this and run it in production today, and it's changed the way our team thinks about exceptional, durable experiences for not just AI, but any sort of workload that we want to do. And we believe it's something that all Netlify customers could benefit from. So I'm going to hand it back to Matt, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the peek behind the scenes of how AI-assisted publishing is built, and that you'll all find the functionality in itself useful. But we're all about enabling other people to build with our primitives. So as a last thing, we're going to tie together everything we built today, because Sean here has turned durable workloads or async workloads on Netlify into an extension using the new SDK. And I'm going to try to see if I can get this launched for all of us right here today. Let's see. So as you can see, this is like typical workflow, probably not just for us, but from a lot of us, right? Like Sean has been making the first draft. We've had PMs, content people involved in like tweaking and getting this ready for, okay, I think we should launch this. And normally now the work would start for someone to start like copy pasting this, making sure all the block, like all the code patterns makes its way into the appropriate pieces and so on, right? Like, but what if I can just go here and say, let's add a new blog post. Let's start with existing content. Let's say launching async workloads, and take this announcement post, just put it in as a content source. We're ready, and here we go. Now I'm asking, instead of usually I would probably ask someone like Phil, hey, can you put this on the blog? Instead, this time I'm asking our AI assistant to say, hey, publish all of this, get it ready for publishing, and give me a preview and show me how it looks like so I can tweak it. Let's see how the AI is doing, 95% done. Again, all of this actually running on the workflow extension that we are about to launch. And here we go. Fully translated, code examples are set up. We're ready to go. Start using it today. That's all for me today. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to the whole set of amazing presenters that came in and shared what we've been working on with all of you. Compose is about logic and reason, but it's also about art and creativity. And here, we're here to all build a better web and to create amazing experiences on the web. We have some amazing speakers today that are working on that. We have partners from the ecosystem and pioneers in AI, builders and creators. And we can't wait to see what you all do with Netlify extensions, our new SDK, and our asynchronous workloads. And we hope you'll all be able to build not just great products, but also ship your product pages and your blog posts faster and get them live in front of customers from inspiration to production faster than ever. So have an amazing day. Go visit the Netlify booth for in-depth demos and answers to any of your questions. Thank you so much.